We have to fall sometimes, but we will rise up.
Welcome to the return of the Fall to Rise podcast. I'm your host, James Brown, and today is a very, very special episode for me personally. Today, I have the privilege of having the former governor of New Jersey, as well as the chairman of the New Jersey Reentry Corp, and a mayoral candidate for Jersey City, New Jersey, Mr. Jim McGreevey.
Amen. Let's hear it for James Brown.
Hello,
God, that introduction took up half the show.
Hey, well, you have quite a few credentials, so I have to make sure that I cover
whatever, James. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Every day is a blessed day. Yes,
most definitely. I just want to say once again, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been a dream of mine to get you on.
No, thank you. I'm glad, and I'm grateful for you for everything you do to try to bring these issues to light.
Thank you.
So important.
Thank you. And I really had to get you on because when I found out about the organization that you're running, the New Jersey Reentry Program, I thought about the number of people that a program like that can help.
Yeah.
So we really need to get the message out there in terms of what this program is. So are you able to explain what the New Jersey Reentry Corp is?
Yeah, sure, James. And one of the first things I'd like to do is give recognition to Reverend Al Sharpton, who's our partner, and the National Action Network. In fact, the National Action Network is actually having their conference in New York this week, focusing a lot on the broader national issues. But we're a service organization, James. We're a service. So if people are coming out of prison, people coming out of county jail, people coming out of addiction treatment, veterans coming home, people struggling after they come out of court, and they need support. So what do we need? You know, if you're coming out of prison, you need a bed to lay in, you need 3 square meals a day, you need identification, whether it's a birth certificate, whether it's a driver's license, and then you ultimately need training and employment. So what we are is, like we say, we're like a hospital for people, not a medical hospital, we're a people hospital for when folks coming out of prison, we can provide them with a path back to society. And it's something we take seriously. It's a blessing in our lives.
And that's actually something that's amazing. I grew up in an area where we did have quite a few individuals that were in and out of jail. So the recidivism rate was often very high. The thing that I would often hear when I would speak to the people that had issues with incarceration or homelessness is that there were never any programs for them, or that no one actually cared about them. And
and that's what we do. And I just want to say thank you. I mean, we're supported by Democrats, by Republicans, by everybody, people in the community. This morning, I was at the African Methodist Episcopal Church District 1 fellowship meeting for all of the women throughout the state of New Jersey, talking about, and AME, the AME Church happens to be one of our biggest supporters, and I just want to shout out and give my gratitude to them. But it's working in partnerships with the faith-based community, with libraries, with law enforcement, with healthcare, with hospitals, advocacy groups, all across the board. I just saw my dear friend Reverend Boyer down at the AME convention. So, I mean, part of this is also being out in the community, being available, and trying to show somebody there's a new way of doing reentry.
Yeah. It's so ironic because people often forget about people once they are incarcerated, once they have issues. You know, once they get out, the thing that I think that people often forget about is what happens to them when they come home. What happens to them?
No, everybody forgets that.
Yes.
And you come home, you don't have a house, you don't have a job, you don't have health care, you don't have money in your pocket, you don't have a family to support you. What are you going to do, James? You're going to do what you always did.
Yes.
You're going to go back, whether it's to that street, to that corner, and you're going to do what you know because you have to survive.
Yes.
And that's why I don't mean this disrespectfully, but when I talk to people in the general population, they're like, well, these guys, no, let's be clear. If you came back from prison and dropped in the middle of New Jersey or Nebraska or Iowa, or Alabama, and had no ID, no bed, no food, no
Yes.
cash, no health care, what in God's name would you do? You
Yeah.
would be fighting to survive. That's
Yeah.
as basic as an instinct in human beings as you can find. And
Yeah.
so what we try to do is, all right, we're going to do this differently this time.
Yeah.
I believe with God, all things are possible. And so we're going to be looking to do this a little differently. You're going to have a support. You're going to have somebody that's holding your hand, walking through this process, getting you to that safe place.
Yes, definitely. It's something that's definitely needed. And one of the things that someone recently said is that once someone leaves jail, their penalty is supposed to be over. But we
Yeah,
penalize them when they come home. You know,
but you've got to help them.
yes,
Their technical penalty may be over,
yes,
but when you come home and you have nothing,
yes,
that's a new kind of punishment.
yes,
That's the punishment of, you're wandering among the living dead because you don't have any benefits. You don't
yes,
have any support. You may not have touched a computer, James, for 3 years or 30 years.
yes,
And so you've got to work with people cooperatively, and that's what we're all about. That's
yes.
our commitment.
Yeah, and that definitely helps because one of the things that people forget about is, for example, certain people, if they've been incarcerated, they can't live in certain apartment complexes. They
Yeah.
can't go to certain facilities, they can't get certain jobs. So with this organization, this makes life a little bit easier for them. It gives
Yeah,
them the
and we know who works. We know, all right,
yes,
we can go down to James Brown, he's gonna be
yes,
working. We're
yes,
gonna go down to Sally, she's not interested. We're
yes,
gonna go to this company or that company. We're gonna go to this drug treatment center or that drug treatment center. So you gotta put the whole person back together.
yes, yes.
And so there are a lot of moving parts.
Mhm.
And so if you have a sheet of paper and then you have, all right, this is where we're looking for housing. This is where we're looking for medical. This is where we're looking for mental health. This is where we're looking for our MVC driver's license. You go down the line and you begin to put this together, and that's what's positive.
Yeah, and it's. I know that you mentioned a few of the things. I know that you mentioned housing, jobs. What other things does your organization offer to people that are newly released from incarceration?
Well, I mean, the first thing is we help you. The first thing you have to do is get your birth certificate.
Okay.
James has to say who James is.
Yes.
First, we have to prove that James Brown is James Brown. And that's why, and IDs, you have to have ID for everything, James.
Sure.
You need ID for every state benefit program, for SNAP, for general assistance, for temporary rental assistance. You need identification.
Yes.
There are different programs, there are different requirements, but every program has an
Mm.
ID requirement. So we get the birth certificate, we get social security card, you get your 6 points ID, so you get your MVC ID, motor vehicle commission ID. So that says that James Brown is James Brown. And
Yes.
that's important because
Yes.
in prison, you can have two people saying, well, I'm James Brown or I'm James Brown too, or maybe while people are behind the wall, your brother, your cousin is using your ID. So first we have to document that you are who you say you are, and then we get them benefits. Medicaid for healthcare, affordable healthcare, Obamacare Affordable Care Act, and then we look at housing, and then we look at, obviously all sorts of medical care, whether it's mental health, whether it's psychiatric, whether it's addiction treatment. And then lastly is training, job training, and then employment.
Oh wow. Wow. Now, if someone wanted to sign up for your organization, how would they do it?
So we have 10 sites all throughout central and northern New Jersey. And
Okay.
say, for example, where are you at right now, James? What city?
I'm in Denellen, near Plainfield.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we would have, like, we'd have a site in Carteret at the Carteret Shopping Center. We have a site in Newark at 936 Bergen Street. We have a site in Patterson. We have a site in Jersey City where I'm sitting right now, 591 Summit Avenue. So you would go to our website. It's NJRC, www.njreentry.org. So it's www.nj as in New Jersey, reentry, one word, REENTRY.org. So it's www.njreentry.org. And it'll show you all the sites.
Oh wow, and that's something that people definitely.
Yeah, so what happens is, and we have an orientation every week, James. You have to get there early in the morning, 8:30, quarter to 9 on Monday. You have a week's long orientation. We'll help you do a biopsychosocial social work. And then after that, we'll work with you to help you get your ID, get your benefits, get your, not only your ID and your social security, but get your MVC ID and whatever benefits you're entitled to.
And this is only for people that are coming out of incarceration, or is this for people that have addiction issues? For people that
No, we'll work with people, folks, but part of our charges
sure,
with the state legislature and the governor's office is
yes,
people that are court involved. So if you're involved in drug court, if you're involved in veterans court, if you're involved in the superior court, if you're involved in municipal court, if you have any court involvement, we believe in radical welcome.
oh wow, that's awesome. That is awesome.
So and it doesn't have to be in the last 6 months, James. It can be, we've had people come in that 20 years ago, I fell off the wagon. I'm using again. I'm using crystal meth. I'm using dope. Can you help me out? And then we help them out. We move quickly to help them get detox, residential treatment, IOP.
Oh,
And
wow.
if they need it, medication assisted treatment, mental health. So our whole goal is to provide the full array of services that the person needs.
So with all of these options that you're providing to everyone, have you seen a reduction in recidivism rates?
Yeah, our recidivism rates are great. It's like 8.8%. It's less than 10%, but we work at it. And the name of the game is, and I've got Reverend Al's book here someplace. But Reverend Al talked about, I don't know where it was, but Reverend Al talks about, oh, here it is. Rise Up. Reverend Al talks about in his book, but he talks about part of the secret to rising up is having, as the old spiritual says, we fall down, but we get up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you're going to get up, you have to have support. So people have to be willing to ask for help. And sometimes guys come back home and they're, in prison, you can't show vulnerability because you got to have that facade. You got it all taken together. But what we say is, no. When you come through, this is like church. When you come through those doors, you've got to be willing to humble yourself, ask for help so we can give you what you need.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, is this program only for men that are coming out of jail? Is it for men, women, trans? Is it for
No. In fact, we're doing a program right now for women. In fact, we've got a major press conference tomorrow, and we're going to be focusing on domestic violence, sexual abuse, and human trafficking. So often the women in our program, they may be in a relationship, James, where they're put upon, they suffer violence, they suffer trauma, and then they react against their accuser, sometimes violently, particularly if he's threatening bodily harm to them or to their children.
Sure.
And then these women go for prison for a long time, but the judge doesn't know that maybe for 3 months or 3 years or 30 years, they've been victimized by this person. And so we're arguing for what they call a Survivors Justice Act, where the judge can look back at the history of domestic violence. So to be fair to these women, they just didn't wake up one day and have a terrible day and attack their loved one or attack their partner. They're responding to the abuse that may have occurred over many years.
And that's actually great. I actually have firsthand experience with that. One of my cousins, he was in a domestic violence relationship. His girlfriend, she had been physical with him on several occasions, and he eventually put his hands on her. He went to court, and fortunately, the judge looked back through her history and saw that she had a history of domestic violence, of committing domestic violence, and that's the only thing that saved my cousin. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that may not have those types of judges.
Yeah, and there's no record. So what happens is if if a woman, typically it's the woman who's being, but I mean, it could be the reverse, like your cousin.
Sure.
But if the police didn't show up and there's not a record, that
Mhm.
judge goes to look at that history and there's nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why it's so important. What you just shared is true.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And you said that you all are going to be introducing
Legislation, yes, the Survivors Justice Act.
Survivors Justice Act. Okay, and this is going to be wow, I'm learning and interviewing at the same time. The Survivors Justice Act. I actually love that idea because that's something that most people don't think about. Most
Yep.
people, they see people that are in difficult situations and they only see where they are now. They don't take a look at what put them there. So it's almost as if your organization are actually stopping the issues, or at least making an attempt to stop the issue before it gets a lot worse.
Yep.
And that's definitely amazing. You spoke earlier about the conference that your organization is having, and I actually did a bit of research and a bit of cheating. So I did do some research, and I saw that you're having the New Jersey Reentry Conference on April the 17th at St. Peter's College in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Yes.
Are you able to speak on that?
Yeah, that's going to be a great conference, and that's focused on some of these issues.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's just what you said.
Mhm.
If it's just like making people aware of these issues.
Sure. Yeah, because I see that with this event, you're speaking on domestic violence, as well as sex trafficking. That's a new one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just focusing in on how we can help typically these women,
Sure.
because when they respond to their perpetrator and they get a sentence, they can get a very long sentence. But we're saying you just can't look at the act. You have to look at what happened prior to the act. You have to look at the history, James.
Yes.
You can't just look at the act by itself. You need to look at the totality of the circumstances.
Sure. Yeah, and that's definitely something that we need to do more of. Again, it's one of my favorite terms is that I like to humanize people. And it appears that this is what your program is doing. It's taking them away from being victims.
Yeah. And it's saying that often these women are struggling to survive.
Yes.
And we need to look at the whole history, not just this single act, to understand what happened and how we got there.
Yes.
And I think that's only fair. That's
Yeah.
only just,
Mhm.
especially if the person has been victimized time and time again.
Yes, definitely. Now, in order to make this happen, I know that your organization is actually working with quite a few other organizations and government.
Yeah, we have tremendous partners all across government.
And that's awesome. So, again, you said that you all are nonpartisan, so you're actually receiving support from the Democratic and Republican Party.
Well, we have support from, like, whether it's the state legislature or the governor's office, Governor Murphy's office,
Sure.
or Washington and federal grants. And we like to think of ourselves as professionals in reentry services. I mean, the services that we do, God willing, we do them well, but we help to change people's lives so that they become law abiding, so they get a good job, so they can at long last afford to pay for their family. I mean, you can't give somebody a job opportunity that's they're just hanging on. You need to help them develop a skill. So we have a training center, and whether it's commercial driver's license or welding or General Electric or phlebotomy, blood testing, we have a whole array of courses that are free of charge for the court-involved community that helps them get their pre-apprenticeship training, so that at the end of it, they have a skill, they have a certification from Hudson County Community College that shows that they're qualified for an entry-level job.
Wow. Okay, so you're working with the colleges as well. Wow.
Yes, Hudson County Community College, and I can't say enough about President Reber, because a lot of folks, I mean, bluntly, they don't necessarily want to embrace the court-involved community, and he
Sure.
did. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually grateful as well because this is huge. This is really
Yeah,
huge.
no, it's giving people training. It's getting people skills. Not everybody's meant to go on to college. We've got to give people skills so they can compete in the job force, whether it's a welder, whether it's a construction, whether it's General Electric, whether it's, a healthcare technician, coding, whatever it is, but you've got to give people certifications so they can compete in the job force. And especially for guys and gals coming out of prison, They may
Yes.
not have touched a computer for 7 years or 17 years.
Yeah, yeah. And fortunately, New Jersey is one of the states that doesn't really ask about your criminal background whenever you are going for a job. So with organizations like this is giving them the skills to essentially
Yep.
rebuild
That,
their
what
life.
James, what you just said is so important.
Yes.
Giving people the skills to compete so they have a good job in the workforce.
Yeah, definitely. And people need that. In all honesty, the expectation is usually that when these folks are rebuilding their lives, that they're just going to have, low level jobs or, low, very little education. But again, your organization is giving them that opportunity.
Sure. And we also give the GED so they get their
Really?
high school equivalency, and then they can get these other courses. And while they're doing that, we can get them their driver's license. So we can put together the whole package so they move forward together.
Oh, wow. 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 I'm I'm actually lost for words for a second, but
No, it's just like it's caring, it's giving a darn, it's giving a damn, and
it
trying to
is.
help people put their lives back together. You can't do it on your own.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't do it, you can't do it, and
Yes.
nobody can do it.
Definitely, definitely. And it's so amazing because what I keep thinking of is a line from Barack Obama when he was inaugurated president in 2008. And he said that we are the ones that we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And when I think about what you're doing, you're not waiting for another organization to do it for us. You're not waiting for someone else.
Yeah, no. And you
And
can't wait. You got to move. You got to serve the people.
definitely, definitely. People often have this idea of if things don't affect them personally, they don't care. But at the end of the day, it does affect us personally.
Yep.
So
No, you have to care. Because, well, I mean, I think reentry impacts all of us. It impacts our families, our children, our neighborhoods. One out of, every 32 people are either in jail, in prison, parole, probation. So what we're trying to do is to help people have a healthy way back home.
definitely, and that definitely does help. It really, really does. One thing I do want to say, and I know that I won't keep you too long.
No.
This is actually something personal that I want to say. As when I first met you, and it's something that we've discussed, I've always said that you never spoke to me as a politician. So for the rest of the world, I actually met the governor when I was 16 years old in high school. I was with an organization called the Sigma Beta Club, which was a youth mentor program.
Amen.
And we were doing a church visitation, and Governor McGreevey was there. He spoke, and then he came over to us and spoke to us, not as a politician, not even as an adult. He just spoke to us as a person. And the one thing that I am proud to say is that when we saw each other those many years later, I don't want to say how many years it's been.
I didn't have gray hair then, James.
You didn't? No.
My hair was as black as yours.
It was. But I see.
I got like it's all gone downhill since then.
I'm a couple of years behind that, so.
Yeah, you're more than a couple, James.
But the thing that I've always said is that you were always genuine. You were always kind. You genuinely cared about fixing the issues in the community. And I've always appreciated that about you.
No, thanks, James. Well, I mean, like everybody, like the old spiritual says, we fall down, but we get up. Right?
Definitely, definitely.
And that's as old of a message that goes back generations, hundreds and hundreds of years. And so, like, everybody makes a mistake. Everybody, whether religiously you call it a sin, whether you call it a mistake, whether you call it a crime, however you call it, we make an error in judgment. So, I mean, if our faith tells us, we can be forgiven and go on, then our fellow person, and that's why, candidly, with a lot of sometimes the toughest cases, James, sincerely, where guys and gals won't forgive themselves.
Yes.
And you got to forgive yourself. I mean, if, like, not to get religious, but I say if the good Lord can forgive you, you can forgive yourself. Who are you not to forgive yourself? You don't have that right not to forgive yourself, because you've got to move on. You just can't stay in this negative, ugly place. You got to move on, in a healthy good place. You got to move on in terms of goodness.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And some people say, like, and then they just beat themselves up. And I'm like, enough, stop.
Yeah. It's so, just listening to you speak is so refreshing, because whenever we look at the news and we see anyone that's in politics, it's always so negative. It's always division. You're
Yeah.
trying to bring people together.
Yeah.
You're-
Well, I mean, like, you can divide people, but what good does that accomplish? You got to
Definitely.
bring people together. You got to move together. You got to move in a direction. And that's what I believe in. Move in a healthy direction. Let's build the community. Let's
Yes.
help kids get a good education. Let's help them get the skills so they can compete. Let's
Yes.
help people have decent homes. And so
Yes.
it's also about fairness. Like, we all didn't wake up on the same side of the street. We all didn't wake up. And so, you know, like, let's work to be one community.
Yes, definitely.
I mean,
Definitely.
Dr. King used to say it all the time.
Yep.
Beloved community, beloved community.
Yes, yes. It seems as if this is what's being built here. I want to pivot just a bit. I want to go back to the New Jersey Reentry conference that is happening next week, which, by the way, I will be attending.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. But for those that are interested in attending, how would they?
Just go on our website, James, again, www.njreentry, one word. So it's www.njreentry.org. And there's a registration form there, and they can register themselves. But you better hurry up, because
Yes.
we're going to close out soon.
Uh-oh.
So I just want to say to Fall to Rise and to everybody who's watching the great James Brown, you're more than welcome, but please sign up.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't let it go too long, because we're going to have to close it out at some point.
Yes, yes. So everyone, please, please, please sign up.
Yeah, and we're going to have national speakers from all over the country, from Georgetown Law School to the New York Times, doctors, physicians, psychiatrists, talking about domestic violence, sexual abuse, trafficking. It's going to be and criminal justice reform and how that fits in together.
Oh, wow. Wow. So it's almost as if everyone will be learning, but you'll also
Yep.
with a solution.
Yep.
To fix these issues.
And that's what we're talking about with this Survivors Act.
Definitely. This Survivors Act, I'm really looking forward to hearing more about this, because that's really a big deal. Because I don't
because people when they commit this act of violence, they're not just doing it because they woke up wrong. They're reacting to violence that's been against them and against them and against them. And whether they black out or they're in a rage, but you've got at least, I'm not saying I'm saying you've got to understand the context. You've got to understand what, it's that old expression, to understand a person, you got to walk in their moccasins or walk in their shoes. You got to understand what these typically women have gone through.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so happy to hear you say that, because that's something that part of the conversation often gets lost.
Yeah.
Again, we see people's current situations, but we don't take a look at what brought them there.
Yep. No, I agree with you, James.
Yeah, and that's again, this Survivors Act is going to be huge. This is the first time that I've ever even heard of anything like this.
Yep.
This is the
first. No, it's not been done before in New Jersey, so we're really excited.
So wow, so this is the first time this has ever been proposed in New Jersey. Wow.
Yep.
Wow, and this is huge. So
thank you.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of people that are going to benefit from this.
Yep.
That I know personally.
Yeah. No, and this is just fairness. This is equity. This is social justice. This is what we should do.
Yeah. We're pretty much creating equality for everyone.
Yeah, well, and we're just saying, look at if somebody responds violently, you got to know what brought them to this place. That's just fair.
And then once you know what brought them there, you can prevent, or at least try to prevent, future incidents.
Yep. Well, that's the next step. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's
provide them with an alternative to be in that horrible place.
Definitely. So, wow. This has been eye-opening, to say the least.
Thank you, James.
This conversation, I just wanted to say once again, thank you, not just for this interview. Thank you for just being you. Thank you for not changing. Thank you for being the same. Thank you for helping in the community. I truly, truly appreciate this. And
you're kind. You're too kind, James. Thank you for being you. And we need young blood. We need young guys that are willing to invest and make a commitment to the community and help people be their best self.
Yes, and
we got to realize we're all in this boat together.
Yes, yes, definitely. And if there's anything that I can ever do to help you, please let me know.
All right. Well, I'll see you on Holy Thursday, April 17th at St. Peter's.
You will see me there. Definitely. We'll speak. I guess we'll speak more when we see each other. But once again, thank you so much for this. And I'm going to do a bit of a cheap plug. So I'm going to say the governor did not ask me to do this, but the governor is running for mayor of Jersey City, New Jersey. So we need people in those state houses, in those city houses that are going to make a difference, that are going to try to help. The thing that I will always say is do not complain. Act. Move.
Yep. My grandmother used to say, God helps those who help themselves, right? We got to build a better community, a stronger community, a healthier community. And God willing, that's, what's what we do every day. But I appreciate people like yourself, James, leaders in the community, coming on Thursday, April 17th to St. Peter's.
Yes, yes. So once again, everyone, please go to njreentry.org and sign up for the New Jersey Reentry Conference, which will be taking place on April the 17th, 2025 at at St. Peter's State University. I'm sorry, in Jersey City, New Jersey. The event is from 8:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m.
Amen.
Yes.
And you get a free lunch.
Free lunch. Hey, you've already got me with free lunch.
You got a free lunch, and we're going to give out those little peeps for Easter.
I can only sign up but so many times.
Exactly.
But once again, thank you for everything that you do, and I look forward,
James, thank you,
this conversation.
And it's good to see a good young man giving a darn. So
yes,
thank you for who you are and what you represent.
Yes,
that gives me hope.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
I look forward to seeing you next week.
God bless. Thanks, James.
God bless. Thank you, and thank you to all of you for tuning in.
Thank you.
We will see you all
to rise.
Yes, sir. And
James Brown, give it up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Governor. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We have to fall.